Welcome to the SLAY Imposter Syndrome live coaching series. I am Cheryl McCrary, your executive leadership coach, and I'm so glad to be here today to talk about, do you have imposter syndrome? Do you have imposter syndrome? So, most of you are familiar with those feelings of perhaps low self confidence or feeling like, you're sitting at the big table with the big dogs in a presentation, senior leaders are there, big clients are there, and you're feeling a little bit low self confidence or low self esteem, or like you don't want to speak up. Or, as one of my clients said, you're feeling outmanned and outgunned at the table. Or perhaps you've had the experience where just for no reason at all, you feel like a fraud, like chronically feeling like, you don't belong. How did I get here? They're going to find me out, right? If you've had those kinds of experiences, chances are you have imposter syndrome. So let's dive down into it in this live today. And all this week, for the next several days, I'll be talking about different aspects of imposter syndrome and how to overcome it. So today, let's talk about and drill down into what is imposter syndrome. So just as I described, it's that feeling, the feeling of feeling like a fraud, or like you shouldn't be there, you're going to be found out, feeling like or feeling overwhelmed at the table with senior leaders or big clients. That's typical experiences of imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is when you have chronic feelings. I call it toxic self-doubt and low self-esteem, despite having many accomplishments. Right? Imposter syndrome is when you have this chronic feeling of not being good enough, or not being skilled enough, or not being smart enough or accomplished enough, when you have evidence that you are. Right? That's what makes it imposter syndrome, is that actually you are highly accomplished. Actually, you have accomplished lots of things, or you have some experiences under your belt, or you have some expertise, but your mind is telling you that you're not enough, that you have not experienced, or you don't have the experience or expertise, that you're not as good as the other people. So that's imposter syndrome, when all the evidence says you're fantastic, and that little voice in your head is saying, no, you're not. So let's talk about that, right? So here's the thing. Here's what's really interesting. You know who gets imposter syndrome mostly? And I see this in my practice all the time. The people who suffer most with imposter syndrome are high achievers. Folks who are ambitious, who are go-getters, world changers, really who are going out there and going after it and always looking to level up. That's the exact person who's going to get imposter syndrome. And here's why. Imposter syndrome is a form of the inner critic, and it's in our minds, it's built into our psyche, and it's built in there to keep us in the comfort zone, to keep us safe, to keep us in a known, in a known environment. And so, as a high achiever, when you go to level up, when you have your eye on the next prize, and you are looking at landing that big client, or bringing in more revenue to your business, or asking for a raise or a promotion, or really going to the next level in your life, whatever that looks like, when you go to do that, it's out of your comfort zone. It's something that's unknown that you're attempting to do. Right. In your mind, you've decided, I'm going to go for this thing. And your psyche is going, hold on a second. That inner critic saying, wait a second. This is going to take us out of the world we know, out of the known knowns, and into the unknown, out of our comfort zone. And so it works to keep you right there in your comfort zone. So those little voices start saying, you're going to get found out. You're a fraud. You're not ready for this. You are you're not good enough for this. You're not prepared for this. Who do you think you are? Right? That little voice starts because it keeps you in the comfort zone. And so the thing that we have to do is really learn how to master that voice, right? Master that voice. So here's one of the things, so you can sort of see if you have imposter syndrome, if that's coming up for you. So another thing I see in my clients is, and this is a surprising one, sometimes what happens is imposter syndrome will make you procrastinate. And I don't mean just sometimes, I mean, if you're a chronic procrastinator, so you don't follow through or don't follow up on the things that are going to get you to the next level. You don't follow up with people or with clients or with opportunities, right? You let things fall to the wayside. You don't really follow up with them. You wait till the last minute and sabotage yourself. right? Those kinds of actions can indicate that you are having imposter syndrome. Because again, that imposter syndrome is there to keep you safe. So if you wait to the last minute, and then you sabotage yourself on that proposal, then you're not going to get that new business. You're not going to be experiencing that new leveled up life, right? If you procrastinate getting your whatever you have to get in for a new promotion, or to go ask for a raise, and then someone else gets the promotion, someone else gets the raise, someone else gets the client, right? That kind of chronic procrastinating is a symptom of imposter syndrome. So I'm wondering if any of you listening are if any of this is resonating for you. Are you recognizing yourself? And I will just own for myself, procrastination is one of my telltale signs when I'm about to level up and it's time for me to go to the next level. Procrastination kicks in, and I have to be really, really awake and conscious of that so that it doesn't hijack me. So another symptom that of imposter syndrome, so you can see if this sounds like you, is also overworking. Now I know it sounds counterintuitive, right? Because everyone who's a high achiever is going to work hard typically, right? You're working hard, you're putting in long hours, you're going the extra mile, you are investing in yourself and your business, you're juggling lots of different things. So it's, high achieving women, high achievers are always working hard typically. But if you find yourself chronically overworking, and by this I mean chronically overworking to the point of exhaustion, workaholic, if you don't have great boundaries with others, and so you take on more and more and more work, thinking that's going to get you where you need to go, or that's going to really show really show that you deserve to make more money, or to be promoted, or have a higher level of success, whatever that looks like. That chronic overworking can also be a symptom of imposter syndrome. It's a symptom of not feeling good enough, not feeling like I'm enough, so I have to do more. I have to do more so I can make myself feel like I am more. Right? I have to do more so I can prove to other people that I'm worth more. And actually, that technique, and again, I'm talking chronic here. I don't mean just normal working hard, or working late to meet a deadline. I don't mean the normal kind of working hard, or working a little bit longer hours. I mean chronic overworking, chronically taking on more work. That is a symptom of imposter syndrome. So really quick story. I had a client once who thought that the best way for her to get promoted was to just take on more and more and more and more and more work. And she would work weekends and work evenings and take all this extra work, and was doing all this extra stuff for her kids and for her husband, and just taking on all these things. And to her, it was showing how valuable she was, right? How needed she was, and how she was just indispensable, taking on all these different things and trying to prove her value everywhere and prove her worth everywhere. And actually, it had the opposite effect. Right. So that imposter syndrome was driving her to overdo. And actually, what it was doing was lowering her value, because she didn't have good boundaries. She took on more and more and more work. And she became sort of a doormat for her family. She became a little bit of a doormat at work. Everyone knew that she'd stay late. She'd be available on the weekends. She was, on her phone 24/7 with the notifications on. And so what it did was it actually lowered her value. And she saw how others were being promoted over her, right? Others were getting the prize before her. Her family was taking her for granted a little bit, right? And so really learning how to set those boundaries helped her shift everything. So the whole point today is I want you to really think about some of the things I've said here, and do they resonate with you, right? Do these things resonate with you? Do you see these behaviors in yourself? Chronic self-doubt, chronic procrastination, chronic overworking. Do you see these things? Are you a high achiever? Are you feeling those feelings of fraud and all, and not quite good enough when you're at the table? Because if you are, chances are you have imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome is the number one barrier to success, particularly for women. The glass ceiling has nothing on imposter syndrome. So what I will be doing in the subsequent lives that I'll be in trainings I'll be offering, I will be talking about how to dismantle and how to master various aspects of imposter syndrome. So I invite you to join me, first of all, at a free webinar I'll be offering on Wednesday, this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, this Wednesday, June 15th. Free webinar, and you can see it right here, right here below. It says go to slayimpostersyndrome.com/webinar, and you can get registered for that masterclass. I'm going to dive deep into how to master this thing, right? I have a four-part process I use with my clients to help them master this. So be sure to join me on the webinar on Wednesday. And in the meantime, meet me back here. I will be live for the next few days at 12 noon Eastern, or I'm sorry, 12 noon Pacific. Sorry about that. 12 noon Pacific. I'll be here live talking about all the various ways you can slay imposter syndrome and lots of other stuff too, so that you can level up in your life, in your business, and in your career. I look forward to seeing you next time, and make sure you get into the free webinar. Link is right below there. Okay, bye.